So we got some pretty big Nintendo Switch 2 news to report on, as we got a rumored title apparently coming to the system this holiday season. This is a big third-party title, which if you're somebody like myself who's on the fence about maybe upgrading your Switch from the 1 to the 2, this could be a game which could potentially move the needle for you or not, depending on how you look at things. So I'm going to explain here shortly. As far as the title, we are talking about none other than Assassin's Creed Shadows, which currently via the Switch right now, I think as far as like Assassin's Creed titles, you have access to some of like the older titles. But when you talk about the more modern kind of RPG open world titles, apparently none of these titles are currently available via the Switch. So as far as the Switch 2 with the upgraded capabilities, it would make sense for Ubisoft to eventually port some of these titles, and apparently the first one of the bunch, we will see Assassin's Creed Shadows hit the Switch apparently coming up here December 5th, right, according to this individual Bill, which according to IGN is a very reputable source, right? So we'll wait and see on how things go. But as far as this title, we did get some reports of a European ratings board actually rating this title, months ahead. So more so than likely, we should definitely be able to see this title coming soon. Plus, we do have some reported leaked artwork as well for the big budget title from Ubisoft, which when you talk about Ubisoft, Assassin's Creed would probably be the biggest moneymaker that they currently offer, right? One of their biggest franchises of all time. It feels like every year they're pumping out a new Assassin's Creed title, which it seems like as far as this most recent title, Shadows, they've listened to what the people are saying, and rather than just pumping out a new game every year, they let this one marinate a little bit, right? As far as the final product, some of the early impressions, kind of mixed reviews. So comment down below. Let me know if you guys have actually played this title yet. Now, as far as this game coming to the Nintendo Switch 2, I actually love this right here because I enjoy the convenience of being able to play these titles. Handheld. Sometimes I like to play these games before I'm about to go to sleep. You guys know it's just a lot more convenient. And when you talk about Assassin's Creed, I'm somebody that's been playing these games since the very first Assassin's Creed, right? That first one, which I guess it dropped on the 360, if I'm not mistaken, right? Now, I would say since then, I really haven't played any titles until they began Origins, the big open world RPG titles. And since then, I've really enjoyed Assassin's Creed. I know it's a hot take. I think a lot of people appreciate the more stealth mechanics from the earlier titles, but I love the big open world games, right? The most recent Assassin's Creed title I played was Mirage, which we did have on Game Pass, but now with the whole Game Pass situation, I'm probably going to be canceling that service. And to play the latest title to the franchise, I might consider playing this game actually on the Nintendo Switch 2, right? Which I think the first big third-party title which comes to mind when we talk about the Nintendo Switch 2 would be Cyberpunk 2077, right? Although it doesn't run as flawless as, say, like if you're playing this game on like the most modern hardware, like on a PS5 or like a PC or something like that. But apparently, when you're playing this game in performance mode, right, in handheld, you actually are able to achieve somewhere around 40 frames per second, which I would say is very impressive for a game of this capacity, especially, when you're talking about on a handheld platform, right? So that's great and everything like that. On top of all of that, apparently the entire game is actually available on the Nintendo Switch 2 cartridge, which that's also crazy as well. Although it's not going to be as perfect as, say, like on your PS5 or a PC, obviously, it's still impressive to run a game of this capacity on the Nintendo Switch 2. When you compare that to something like The Witcher 3, which remember that was on the Switch 1, where people were saying like they couldn't even believe that you could get that game to run. It's like night and day when you compare something like Cyberpunk on the Switch 2 to The Witcher 3, on the Switch. So what I'm trying to get at is that the Switch 2, the performance is a lot better, right? So it could be worth the upgrade. But remember how I mentioned that Cyberpunk, they were able to actually fit the entire game on that one single cartridge. Apparently, rumor has it that Assassin's Creed Shadows could be one of these games where we see actually Nintendo Switch utilizing the game cards. Now, depending on what side of physical media and game preservation you're on, you could either love or hate this move, right? With the game cards, you do still get the physical box and everything, but essentially it's useless without having an internet connection. So some people love that, other people hate it. I'm one of them people that really could care less, just due to the fact that I've already jumped on the bandwagon of digital gaming, just due to the fact that I don't have any game stores in my area. I live in Key West, Florida. We don't even have a Walmart. So for me, if I'm not ordering a game online, I'm pretty much going to download it, especially if I can catch it on sale. So I'm not mad about that, but some people, might be turned off by that. But what's interesting about the whole game card situation, right, is apparently this is a move which a lot of people thought these developers were looking to cut costs, by including it like that. But apparently it's actually are some reports popping out that it's actually more so due to performance, as according to IGN, they actually spoke with some developers over at Ubisoft, right, where they were working on a port of Star Wars Outlaws, defended the use of game cards, saying that the real reason why the Switch 2 version of Star Wars Outlaws uses a game card was due to the Switch 2 data speeds and how quickly the hardware can read information from its bespoke cartridges versus games downloaded to the console's internal memory, right? That wasn't the only case, as apparently as well, the Final Fantasy VII Remake Trilogy director, he also implied that developers are choosing game key cards, not necessarily from a cost perspective, but from a performance one. So that's real interesting when you talk about like these game key card situations and how people are feeling like it's just developers being greedy. But apparently there is actually some truth, some validity to the fact that it's actually due to performance. So as far as Assassin's Creed Shadows coming to the platform, I'm excited. Like I mentioned earlier, I haven't actually upgraded to the Switch 2, but with a title like this, dropping right ahead of the holiday season. Let's not forget, we also got Metroid Prime 4. These are giving me excuses to maybe stop being cheap and, to dust off that old Nintendo Switch 1 and maybe upgrade to the Switch 2. So as far as Assassin's Creed Shadows coming to the platform, it's pretty much confirmed at this point with a release date of December 5th. Let me know, are you guys excited for this title? When you talk about Assassin's Creed titles, do you prefer some of the original, more stealth-driven mechanics, or are you a fan of the bigger open-world titles? And if you've actually played this game, comment down below. Let me know what you guys think about this one right here. So is this enough to make you want to upgrade to your Switch 2? I thought this was a big, news when you talk about Switch 2 titles, and a game that I'm probably considering picking up. So drop your feedback down below if you guys enjoyed today's video. Smash the like button. This is JA Gaming, a new channel which I just started, to kind of create my gaming journey and everything. So I'd love for you guys to come along, consider subscribing down below. I'll catch you guys next time. In the meantime, stay safe, stay blessed. I'm out. Love.